Dr. Jockers, I would love for you to explain this. What happens inside of your body when you go without food for 72 hours?
Man, that's a great question. And I always say fasting is the most ancient, inexpensive, and powerful healing tool known to mankind because all of our ancestors have done it. They didn't have refrigerators. They didn't have pantries. There were great harvests and there were, great hunts. And then there were times where there weren't. And so they were fasting. Obviously, it doesn't cost you anything, right? And it's extraordinarily powerful. And this is why, because when you're fasting, let's start at 12 hours. I think this is the baseline for every person, even a pregnant woman. If she eats a good quality dinner, she can fast for 12 hours overnight, right? And then wake up and, basically within 12 hours, consume a good meal. So everybody can do this 12-hour overnight fast. What that does is that helps rest your digestive system and allows your liver to undergo a complete detox cycle. And that's really key. So I look at that as the baseline. Now, most people in America are eating right before they go to bed and then right when they wake up. They're consuming something. They might not think they're eating, but they're drinking something with calories. Something is going in their mouth with calories, and that's breaking that fast, spiking their insulin levels, stopping their ability to burn fat, slowing down their liver detox cycle, not allowing their gut to heal and reset. So it's a big problem. So 12 hours is your minimum. Then let's move it up from there, 14 hours. Now your body has depleted a good amount of its stored sugar, its glycogen. And so it starts to undergo some more fat burning at this point. So we start tapping into fat as a fuel source. And then we continue on. Let's go to 16 hours. Now, particularly for somebody that's metabolically healthy, and I'm thinking of like you and me, at 16 hours, we've depleted a good amount of our glycogen stores and we're burning fat. And now our brain says, okay, I'm not sure when I'm going to eat next. So I need to start taking this fat and turning it into ketones. Ketones are a water-soluble molecule that we take from fat that the liver produces, and it can actually cross the blood-brain barrier. See, the thing with fatty acids, they're a great fuel source for most of the cells in our body, but we can't get them across the blood-brain barrier. Yeah. And so when we are fasting, when insulin drops below a certain threshold, and this is the difference between somebody that's coming into a fast with very high insulin and somebody that's coming into a fast with, basically an insulin-sensitive state, right, where they have very low insulin. When insulin gets below a certain threshold, now we don't have that mapped out yet, but most people believe it's roughly around 5. Mm-hmm. So when it gets below 5 units in your blood, right, and you can test that on a fasting insulin test, which I know you talk about in your book, I talk about all the time.
One of the most important tests to get done.
Absolutely. Everybody should be getting it done. Anytime you get your blood work done, ask for fasting insulin.
Yeah.
And so we want that 5 or less. When it's 5 or less, now the brain has to decide, okay, our innate intelligence says, I need something to cross the blood-brain barrier. I need an alternative fuel source to glycogen. We start producing these ketones. The ketones get across the blood-brain barrier, where not only are they a fuel source for the brain, but on top of that, they're what we call an epigenetic modulator. That's a big term, but what that means is they actually start to modulate and balance out our genetics. So they impact genetic expression. And one of the big things they do is they reduce inflammation in our brain. So when we have trouble thinking straight, when we have brain fog, when we're forgetful, when we have depression, anxiety, irritability, these are all symptoms associated with brain inflammation. And so as the ketones start to elevate in our brain, we start to think more clearly. Thoughts start coming to us, creativity, innovation, different things like that. And of course, we're doing it from our own body fat.
Yeah.
Right? So it's nothing that we actually put in our body. Our body actually, we have the reserves. We're now tapping into our body fat. So we're getting leaner and we're producing these ketones to fuel our brain and to turn off brain inflammation. This is powerful. And as we continue to stay in that state, because, if we start eating right at that period of time, which you might do from time to time, but if you're really trying to get a deep brain detox, you want to be in that state for, let's say at least 4 to 6 hours. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so now we start expanding that fast. Let's say we go 18, 20 hours. Now we're really starting to clean up the brain. We're also increasing something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factor. BDNF is like Miracle-Gro for your brain. So it actually enhances all the synapses. It helps to strengthen the neurons in your brain. And, when it comes to the synapses, they studied Einstein's brain at Stanford. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
I'm not, no.
What they did was they wanted to see, does he have more neurons than the average person of his body size and his age? And his brain weighed basically the same, had about the same neurons as somebody else that was his age at the time he passed, and and around the same body size. Well, what they found was that he had twice as many synapses, these little gaps between the neurons. And those gaps actually give our brain greater flexibility. And in a sense, it's almost like more branches coming out of a tree, right? More potential fruit. So when you look at a tree, right, let's say an apple tree, the more branches that are coming out of that apple tree, the more potential fruit comes out of that apple tree. The more synapses in our brain, the more potential fruit, right? Meaning creative thoughts, greater degrees of self-expression, ability to deal with stress resilience improves.
Productivity. Whether it's for your family or for your work.
Absolutely.
Just for your life in general.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be stress resilient, right? In any relationship you're in, there's going to be adversity that comes up. We think about it from sports. It's like, gosh, if you're an athlete, you've got to be able to handle adversity. What if you're at the free throw line with 1 second left and you just played 45 minutes and you're exhausted, right? And everybody's yelling. I mean, you got to make the shot.
Yeah.
Well, what if, you've worked a long day at home and your wife starts getting on you, right? And your kid's crying. You got to have that resilience to be able to stop your brain, right? Stop the impulsivity in your brain that would lash out, that would be irritable, that would say, leave me alone, right? And instead go back into that state of gratitude and love, right? And the greater synaptogenesis you have in your brain, the greater degree of stress resilience your brain is going to have, and you're going to have better emotional handle in those challenging situations. And that's powerful. I mean, who doesn't want that?
That is powerful. It makes me think that's probably, I mean, they didn't know this back in the day, but I think every religion, that's part of the reason why every religion teaches some variation of fasting, not because they knew about BDNF, because it does just connect you closer to God, connect you closer to source. It's a spiritual feeling when you experience that BDNF flow in the brain.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, in most religious circles, it's the idea of sacrifice, right? And in a sense, overcoming our carnal desires. And I think in general, that's great. You and I know from a scientific perspective, that's going to give us a dopamine reset. You know what I mean? Dopamine is this amazing hormone that comes out, this neurotransmitter that comes out that gives us reward and pleasure. It's a beautiful thing. Like when we eat food, we release dopamine. That's great. We should enjoy our food. Thank God we can. But what happens, it's so easy to overstimulate our dopamine, right? Because oftentimes we're eating emotionally. We're eating as an emotional crutch, or we're looking for something, all addictive behaviors. People are looking for this dopamine hit, right? Now there's healthy ways of getting this: laughter, connection with a friend or a relative. Getting out in the sun actually helps boost dopamine. Exercise, right? All the things
Petting
that we
a dog,
teach.
like we have my dog down here.
Great, exactly. Yeah, if you don't have, and especially if you don't have a relationship or a child or something like that, get a pet.
Yes.
Exactly. It's wonderful. So that helps to balance, having oxytocin where we're connecting with others helps to balance our dopamine, but also just withdrawal from whatever it is that we're overstimulating with dopamine. And that's one of the great things that fasting does, resets the dopamine, but also we're turning down the inflammation in the brain. We're increasing that BDNF, so we're getting that synaptogenesis. And I mean, it's just we're rewiring our brain to handle life more effectively, right? And that's a beautiful thing. And then, from a spiritual perspective, of course, we're going to have, if you're not spiritual, you might call it something like intuition, right? Like your intuition might be sharpened, okay? You might feel more creative. You might feel like things just come to you, flow to you better, right? More of a flow state. And if you are religious, right? Or like I'm a Christian, so I think of it as I'm more attuned to the Holy Spirit. Like I want the Holy Spirit to lead my life, because when I try to lead my life, I make a lot of mistakes, right? When the Holy Spirit leads my life, he leads me exactly where I need to be at the right time, right? And beautiful things happen.
Yeah.
And so I want the Holy Spirit to lead me. Fasting is one way that helps me to live a Holy Spirit driven life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful, brother. Okay. So that's just only 20 to 24 hours in.
We haven't even gotten into a day yet.
Yeah. We haven't even gotten to 24 hours in. So what happens next?
So now 24 hours, we're starting to get autophagy, right? So we're starting, really, that's going to start earlier, right? As we start producing the ketones, we're also starting with that autophagy.
And the more metabolically healthy you are, the faster that occurs.
That's right. We're ramping that up. Yeah. So if you're coming in and you're very insulin resistant, maybe you have a lot of body fat, okay? You've been diagnosed with prediabetes or diabetes. You're not going to get all these results in a one-day fast, but that's going to move you closer to it. And insulin resistance, honestly, I mean, Ben, you know this, you can heal this very quickly. I mean, you can literally heal diabetes in like 7 days.
Yeah.
Right? With the get this Metabolic Freedom book, follow Ben's plan, all the things Ben's been teaching you. I mean, you know, clinically, when I was seeing patients, people would come in with diabetes and I'd be like, 7 days you're off these medications, right? And it almost always, like, it was very predictable. There were a couple cases where like people had sleep apnea, right? Mold in their home. You know, there were certain circumstances where diet alone just wasn't budging it fully, but that was rare. I would say 90% of the time, people's blood sugar were balanced, right? I mean, they came down. Now, their insulin hadn't come down to where we like it, you know, yet. However, their blood sugar itself, because diabetes is diagnosed based on your blood sugar, right? It's got to be over 126 milligram per deciliter.
Which is a wrong diagnosis, by the way. It should be...
That's like late stage disease.
Correct, yeah. That's the symptom.
We should be looking at insulin.
Yeah, exactly, because the blood sugar, the excess blood sugar is the symptom.
Exactly.
And treating that with medication is treating the symptom.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, the diabetes gets worse. Anyways, that's a different conversation. So you notice the blood sugar is dropping first, and then eventually the insulin catches up.
100%.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so if you're out there and maybe you are diabetic, obviously you want this, you want to tailor this to you, right? And if you're taking medications, you obviously want to talk with your doctor, practitioner. It's always good to have a functional health practitioner, especially if you're dealing with a chronic health disease. But you're going to get phenomenal results from this, okay? So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But where I'm going next is for somebody that is coming in with good metabolic health, that 20 to 24 hour range, you are really ramping up the autophagy.
Explain the autophagy even more. What's happening?
Autophagy means self-eating. And so basically your body starts to go in, your innate intelligence knows what cells are healthy, high-functioning cells. They're stress resilient. It also knows what cells are damaged. Okay, we call these senescent cells, or maybe they're scar tissue or visceral fat. It's cells that are just taking up space, right? They're really not serving a good function. In fact, in many cases, they're actually serving a really bad function. They're actually causing more problems.
They're infecting other cells like zombies.
You got it. Yeah, we have zombie cells, senescent cells, visceral fat, all this kind of stuff that's causing more problems in our body. Our body knows the difference between them. And so when we need more proteins, or if we need more fat, for example, so we talked about fat burning, what's our body going to do? Is it going to go into our subcutaneous fat, which actually serves a purpose, or our brown fat? Subcutaneous fat helps insulate us, right? It's super important for survival. Whereas your visceral fat has no survival purpose. And so your body starts burning the visceral fat first.
Which is the fat around your heart, your kidneys, your liver, your organs. It's the nasty inflammatory fat.
That visceral fat is literally choking out blood supply from getting into your vital organs. It's just literally killing your organs. It's almost like as you're building visceral fat, it's like if somebody had their hand around your neck, right? And they just kept putting more and more pressure. That's what's happening to your organs. And so the reason why visceral fat actually is an endocrine organ, it releases a whole cocktail of inflammatory compounds, is because those compounds actually draw more blood to the area, right? Because the organ's literally like starving and it's like, get me fuel, I need blood. And so that's the reason why. And so it starts burning that visceral fat. We need protein, for example. You know, white blood cells, for example, are proteins. Red blood cells are proteins. We need mitochondria is made up of proteins. And so we need all this protein. So we start breaking down old damaged proteins. We have proteins within the cell. We also have proteins outside of the cell that become damaged. They become damaged by glycation, which is when we have high blood sugar. The sugar molecules will bind to proteins, create sticky proteins. We call these advanced glycation end products, AGEs. So if you have a whole bunch of AGEs in your bloodstream, what do you think that does to your body?
You're aging.
Exactly. You're aging from the inside out, right? And sometimes you'll see the signs. You'll actually see like for example, colored, discoloration on your skin, these kind of
skin
brown
spots.
Yeah. You'll start to see that, or maybe all of a sudden you've got a whole bunch of wrinkles. Okay. You start to see your skin starts looking a lot older. That's a sign you've got high amounts of these AGEs, right? You also may have a lot of what we call lipid peroxidation, where the fats in your body are oxidizing as well and rusting out. And so basically our body knows which of these cells to target, and it starts breaking them down. So we can grab the raw materials and create new healthy stress-resilient proteins, stress-resilient mitochondria, right? And I always say, the quality of your life is really going to come down to the amount of high-functioning, stress-resilient mitochondria in the cells of your body. If the mitochondria can function really high and they can resist stress at a high level, you're going to be able to function at a high level.
And burn fat.
Exactly, because that's where you burn fat, is in the mitochondria. It's like the furnace, it's burning fat for fuel all day long as it's able to.
Yeah. Okay?
If we get into a cell danger response, if our body is overwhelmed with toxins, with pathogens, right? If we're overwhelmed with stress, if we're not sleeping right, things like that. We have high oxidative stress because we're eating a terrible diet. All of those things are going to stop the mitochondria from functioning right and burning fat. But if we allow the mitochondria to do what it needs to do, it's going to burn fat for fuel all day and all night. And that's what's happening when we're fasting. We're turning on that mitochondrial fat burning. And we're actually getting this something called mitochondrial biogenesis, where we actually create more mitochondria. So a cell, a given muscle cell might have 10,000 mitochondria in it, but a high functioning muscle cell might have 20,000. And so now we're doubling it, right? We can do that through exercise. Fasting helps with that, right? Ideally, the combination.
Ketosis as well, yeah.
Ketosis, exactly. Ideally, we're getting a combination of those things.
Yeah.
And that's all stimulating more mitochondria. And then we're breaking down the old damaged mitochondria because they just take up space. So if we have, if a third of our mitochondria in our cell are what we call senescent or damaged, aged, they're not producing energy, right? Or they're producing very, very little energy and really producing a lot of oxidative stress, producing a lot of exhaust, but not really getting, a good ROI on it. And they're taking up space that could be used for a good, healthy, stress-resilient mitochondria. So the innate intelligence will say, okay, let's get rid of that mitochondria, and we'll start to break down that mitochondria, and then we take the raw materials and create new healthy mitochondria. That's what springs up.
It's pretty remarkable, right? I mean,
it's like amazing.
This inner physician that God put within our cells it's doing all this without you having to do it yourself. Like, you're just in your fast.
All we're doing is getting out of the way.
You're just removing the interference,
That's
which is,
right.
in this case, eating and high insulin, high glucose.
Exactly.
And one of the other things that happens when you create this mitochondrial biogenesis, as you just explained, the creation of new mitochondria means, of course, more ATP output, more energy. With that energy output, you burn more fat because you're burning more calories. It increases your basal metabolic rate. So if you're just sitting on the couch like you and I are doing right here on the chair, we're burning more fat because of this output of the increase in energy.
100%, exactly. So when people say, I've tried diet and exercise and I still can't lose weight, it tells me poor mitochondrial function.
For sure.
Right? So if your mitochondria are working well and you just weren't eating well and exercising, you would turn them on with good diet and exercise. And so we've got to get that the mitochondria functioning well. Now, diet and exercise are key components to that, right? But there are some other things. But fasting is one of the easiest tools to start regenerating these new healthy, stress-resilient mitochondria. And you get this ramp up between basically hour 16 and hour 24 of autophagy and growth hormone, right?
Yeah,
that's
the growth hormone. Talk about that, because that's an important hormone for anti-aging, for fat loss.
Definitely.
People spend a lot of money getting growth hormone injected, but we're producing it endogenously during this fast.
Absolutely. Growth hormone is your quintessential anti-aging hormone. So it helps burn fat, tells tissue, it's kind of a tissue-wide, so when I think about like how things are working, like for example, melatonin, right, will actually work, inside of a cell. Melatonin actually acts as a really powerful antioxidant for the mitochondria. Growth hormone kind of has this, like insulin, has this very systemic effect on the body, right? Where insulin comes out and it's high, it stops autophagy and stops fat burning. Growth hormone is kind of the antagonist to insulin. When insulin's high, growth hormone is going to be low. When insulin starts coming down, growth hormone is going to go up. And growth hormone likes to go up with melatonin, especially like at night. And so as growth hormone goes up, now we'll start burning fat for fuel. We preserve lean body tissue. This is really key because, I mean, you've probably gotten this a lot. A lot of people think when you fast,
lose a ton of muscle,
you get so catabolic, right? And so you're going to lose your muscle tissue. Well, growth hormone, as that's elevating, that tells your body preserve lean body tissue, bone tissue, and muscle tissue. And that's key because, you know, the fasting skeptics out there will oftentimes say things like, well, fasting increases cortisol. And the thought process for a lot of people in the natural health world is cortisol, high cortisol, bad, right? And so anything that increases cortisol, they think in their head, that's bad. That's going to throw off your thyroid hormone, your sex hormones. Exactly. But the thing about it is cortisol is actually your wakefulness hormone. It gives you a lot of energy, wakefulness. When it's in its right ratio with growth hormone, it's wonderful. When growth hormone's elevated and cortisol has a slight elevation, it's a high performance state because you can think sharply and quickly. You can burn fat and sugar, glucose for fuel, which helps you if you're trying to exercise in a fasted state, helps you when you're trying to perform.
I'm fasted right now because
Me
of this.
too.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, because I knew we were doing this interview and I feel the best when I'm fasted. Yeah,
exactly. Yep. And most likely for us, our cortisol is a little elevated, right? But it's a high performance state when growth hormone is elevated. When growth hormone is down because we're not sleeping at night, because, you know, if we're fasting and growth hormone is low, we're not getting the growth hormone rise, it's typically because we're not sleeping well, we're stressed out, maybe we're overdoing caffeine, right? I know I love coffee.
Same.
Okay? And, you know, sometimes you get a dopamine boost and you're like, hey, one cup was good. I want a second. And you can overshoot your cortisol, right? And deplete your growth hormone if you're getting too much caffeine in your system. And so these are all ways, you know, too much stress, you know, just blood sugar imbalances. You're not eating enough protein in your diet when
during
you are
your eating window. That's important. There's some nuance here with the muscle loss conversation. And I've spoken to Dr. Jason Fung on this and Mike Mutzel and a few others. And you know, the body's very smart. It's not going to use muscle tissue when you have body fat. Why would it do that, right? It's like you mentioned the visceral fat, like use that for energy, not your muscle mass, which is so important. But there is nuance. If somebody is a pure sugar burner, they're eating every 2 to 3 hours, they're insulin resistant, they're overweight and obese, and then they go into a long fast without preparing for it, well, the body doesn't know how to tap into fat so quickly. So it will tap into muscle, or it'll create a gluconeogenesis response from cortisol. So could you explain how it's important to prepare for this sort of fast and not just go right into it, just like you wouldn't run a marathon without training for it?
Yeah, super important. And I think the reason why that is the growth hormone to cortisol ratio. I think as people are very insulin resistant, as long as insulin's elevated, they're not getting the growth hormone rise. But because they're still struggling to get glucose into the cells, because they're insulin resistant, their cortisol goes up to say, hey, some reason, you know, we need more blood sugar.
There's no ketones, there's no blood sugar getting into the cell. Let's create some glucose.
That's absolutely, And that's what ends up happening. So yeah, you definitely want to prepare properly. I always recommend stop snacking, right? That's one of the first things. And then with your diet, with your the way you're eating, get rid of sugar, processed sugar, seed oils, and chemicals, okay? Where are you going to find chemicals? In your processed foods, for sure, right? Go as organic as you can. That's going to help reduce chemicals. I don't think that's critical to start fasting, but I think for your optimal health, trying to go as organic as you can is important to reduce your overall, your toxic burden, right? The amount of toxins coming in. And then with your diet, focus on protein first, right? The only macronutrient, if you're going to count macronutrients that you should really count, is protein. I recommend getting 30 to 50 grams in a meal. If you're very active, if you're very lean, you can eat more, okay? And I mean, for me, I'll eat easily 100 grams in a meal.
Same.
And feel great. And
we absorb it, by the way. We used to think we only absorb a certain amount, but
right.
Their studies are showing that's not true.
Definitely not. I've done periods of time where I've just eaten one meal, right? And I'll eat 1,500 calories, 2,000 calories easily in that meal.
As long as you have the enzymes to break it down, you absorb it. And then the rest you just...
And lose and I've lost no muscle mass.
There you go.
You know?
Perfect example.
Exactly. And so basically, eat protein until you're satiated. Get some healthy fats on board. Now, fats are going to range, right? You and I, Ben, we could probably eat a high-fat meal like I do and feel great. Whereas somebody else, particularly women, this tends to be more so women, but it could be some men in some cases, they're going to struggle with a high fat meal. Okay, so I recommend at least 15 to 20 grams of healthy fats. Okay, and we can come back to the healthy fats, but that's kind of a starting place. Beyond that, you may struggle, especially if you don't have a gallbladder.
Yeah.
Or if you've had issues in the past when you've eaten high fatty meals, you just felt really bloated. If you have a lot of GI issues, I would start with about 15 to 20 grams of healthy fats. Now, typically, if you're eating red meat, it's going to come in the red meat.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to do it.
Yeah,
just focus on the protein and get the fat that comes with it. Yeah.
If you're eating really lean meat like chicken or something like that, add in some olive oil.
Yeah, there you go.
Extra virgin, fresh pressed olive oil. You're going to get a lot of good polyphenols in there.
Good,
so
bro.
good for your body.
Yeah.
And honestly, chicken is boring without like a good oil like that. So do that. Avocado can be
Maybe
helpful.
some Primal Kitchen sauce. Those are fine too.
Yeah, exactly. If you do like a protein shake, for example, put an avocado in there. So you've got some healthy fats, or half an avocado. You have healthy fats. You got fiber in that. And so that would be helpful as well. So get your fat right, okay, and make sure you're getting it only from healthy fats, no seed oils. You're going to get your healthy fats from your grass-fed animal products, wild-caught fish, avocados, olives, and olive oil would be kind of the additional things. And then possibly coconut oil. That can work well as well, or MCT oil can work well that you can add in. And then lots of colorful fruits and vegetables, up to your tolerance point. Some people do well with a lot of fruits and vegetables. Some people don't. See what your body's desiring as far as colorful fruits and vegetables. You know, there's a lot of people that go on carnivore diet and do amazing, right? For those individuals, their body does well on a lower fiber diet. And other people need more fiber, right? And they actually feel really well when they're doing a big salad, right? Or more fiber. And so everybody's unique and personalized. I look at it like a bell curve. In the middle is basically where most people are, some point on this bell curve. On the far right is your people that seem to thrive on a plant-based diet. Okay. There's a lot of people on a plant-based diet. A lot of them are not thriving at all.
Yeah.
A lot of them are very sick.
Yeah.
Okay. But some people are thriving. And then there's a lot of people that are thriving on a carnivore diet. And there's people that don't thrive on a carnivore diet.
But there are more people thriving on carnivore than vegan.
It appears that way, right? And so on the
way.
far left, you got your carnivore, zero fiber diet.
Yeah.
Okay. And then most people are somewhere in between. And you kind of have to figure out, like for me, I skew towards the carnivore. Like I don't need a whole lot of fiber.
Yeah.
But there are times where I'm like, yeah, I just really want to eat some arugula and some cucumbers. You know what I mean? I tend to go low FODMAP, right? But I like the low FODMAP vegetables and fruit. I seem to do really well with.
Same. Yeah.
Yep. And so we're probably in a similar part of the spectrum.
Yeah, we are.
Yep.
Okay, so that is important because you want to prepare for the fast, and that's some great tips. No snacking, 3 meals a day, protein first, some fat, lower carbohydrate, remove the chemicals, the seed oils. Hey, just a quick interruption before we get back to this incredible conversation. I have a brand new book called Metabolic Freedom. We just hit the New York Times bestseller list, and this book will change your life. I want to give you an entire course on the metabolism for free when you buy this book today. The book is available on hardcover, Kindle, Audible, and Spotify. I narrated those audios myself. And if you scan the QR code on the screen that you see right now, or click the link down below, which goes to metabolicfreedombook.com, order the book, put your name, your email, and your order number, you'll be sent the entire course on the metabolism for free. I sell this course for $1,000. You'll get it for free. And of course, you'll get the book, which has a 30-day plan to help you lose 20 pounds of fat in 30 days. Scan the QR code or head to metabolicfreedombook.com. Let's get back to this conversation. Let's go back to the timeline.
Yep.
I think we're around the 30-hour mark. We have to go until 72 hours. So what's happening next?
Yep. So now let's say we start with a dinner on, let's say Sunday night, and then we're fasting through Monday. And then we've got the choice. Do I eat dinner Monday night or do I fast longer? I just keep this thing going, okay? If you eat dinner, nothing wrong with that. You've got a great fast. You had a high level of autophagy, fat burning, BDNF, right? All these great benefits. But if you want to take your fat burning to the next level, let it go. You know, drink some herbal tea, right? While your family eats or whatever it is.
Some non-flavored electrolytes with water.
Exactly. You got it. And here's the thing. You are actually going to have cravings at the periods of time where you normally eat because it's a habituated response. Yeah, that's when your ghrelin, your hunger hormone, comes out.
True.
Yeah, my wife's actually doing a 3-day fast right now.
Oh, is she?
So and so we time out, like what my wife likes to do, a 3-day fast once a quarter, and she'll time it out right when she starts her menstrual cycle. And so
Smart.
she started menstruating, and we're going on vacation next week, and she likes to come
Get
off
ready.
yeah,
She's
exactly.
getting ready
You got
for a
it.
feast.
We're going to the beach, right?
Okay.
So anyways, with that said, it was perfect timing for her. And so at dinner, so usually the first day for her is like easy, right? Because she's done this so many times. And at around dinner time, she was like, you know what? Like I feel like I'm hungry, right? She's like, I don't usually get that way. And I'm like, listen, almost everybody gets hungry at that period of time.
You've trained
when
yourself.
you eat. You train yourself. It's a survival response,
Yeah.
right? I said, just get yourself a nice glass of water, maybe some herbal tea, right? That's what she did, and it was no problem, right?
And
About
hunger-
an hour later, she felt fine.
Yeah, that's exactly the point, because ghrelin, like all hormones, are pulsatile. They go up, you feel it, and then it goes away. You just keep yourself distracted or
Absolutely.
busy. It's not going to last for hours. It's
Absolutely.
going to be 30 minutes to an hour. In her case, it was 1 hour.
Yep. And drinking helps because as the stomach extends, whether it's food or water, your ghrelin release lowers. And actually, some warm beverage actually helps better because it also helps trigger your vagus nerve, which is relaxing, calming on your body.
So good herbal tea would be
Good
perfect.
herbal tea, you got
Chamomile tea or whatever it is.
Exactly. If it's in the evening, great.
Okay, that's
Got
good.
it.
All right, so so we're extending it. We're going beyond that 30-hour mark.
Yep.
What are we noticing now?
So now we start getting higher levels of fat burning, higher levels of ketone production. So all those benefits we talked about with fat burning and ketone
They're
production,
enhancing now.
we're enhancing, taken to another level, higher levels of autophagy, higher levels of growth hormone, right? In some studies, growth hormone has been shown to increase by as much as 2,000%.
Yeah, in men, right?
In men, yeah, exactly. About 1,200% in women,
Yeah.
at roughly 24 hours.
Amazing.
Well, you're getting even higher levels, right? As you continue this fast. And so now you're just getting more and more fat burning. Your body's breaking down these old damaged proteins. It's burning the visceral fat. So if you're out there and you've had fatty liver, for example, that is visceral fat on your liver, and it's actually choked off blood flow to the liver. So now liver cells are becoming damaged, and they're turning into fibrotic fatty cells. So not only do you have fat on your liver, but your liver cells themselves are now turning into basically scar tissue and fat. It's a really problematic issue, but liver fat is one of the first things your body starts breaking down when you're fasting. So if you've got fatty liver, this period of time here between 24 to 30, 36 hours,
You're just
you are
pulling
just
fat.
you're just
fat.
burning
What do you
that
think?
liver
What do you
fat.
think it's the liver fat that the body uses first?
Well, I think because the liver is such an important organ,
Yeah,
so critical.
I call it the soccer mom organ.
Yeah,
It does
exactly.
everything for the body like a soccer mom.
Exactly. And if you're getting that fatty liver, it's like your body just has nowhere else to put fat.
We need to support this freaking liver.
Exactly. And so because of that, your body's like, let's get rid of this. We need to get this liver up and functioning, and let's burn this for fuel. So you start ripping off all that visceral fat right off the liver. And now, so you're 36 hours in, okay, you have another choice. Hey, I can eat another meal, right? If you do, nothing wrong with that. Okay, you did a great job. I mean, anybody who fasts for 36 hours, you'd be proud of yourself.
Yeah, you got benefits.
Sometimes, and some of my listeners are like this, and probably in your case as well. It's like the fasting Olympics.
Yeah.
It's like
I wanted to go to 48, but I only got
Yeah.
36. I'm a failure.
I know, exactly. People can be so hard on themselves.
I know. Well, there's no such thing as a failed fast. First of all,
You got it.
It's like there's always benefits.
Exactly.
And if you're new to this, like you shouldn't even go for that 72-hour fast. You should do what you're saying, 24 and then 30. Build
Work
it
it
up.
up.
Yeah, you're
That's
not going
right.
straight into it. It's a muscle you're developing over time.
Yeah, it's like fitness,
Yeah.
right? So you're developing it, you're strengthening it. Okay, you're conditioning your body for this. And so now you're getting into even deeper levels of fat burning. Also, I didn't mention this, but at 24 hours, this is a rat study. They haven't seen it with humans yet because we haven't actually, it's hard to do human research on fasting, unfortunately, because
Unethical or
not a big profit margin
and
on it.
that too. Yeah.
Now,
Can't put it into a
hopefully
pill.
we can redirect funds because fasting will literally save our country, save our world.
Trillions of dollars.
Trillions
every year.
of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like so many medications.
Yeah.
Right. That people will come off of.
Oh, Big Pharma hates that.
They hate that, which is why there isn't a whole lot of research done on it.
But there was a
so
mice type 1
There
diabetes.
is a rat study done
rat.
where they showed increase in intestinal stem cells at 24 hours.
Yeah, that's cool.
And what that means is that the body got rid of these senescent damaged intestinal cells. So
That's
you only
the
stimulate
immune system.
Exactly. You only stimulate stem cells when you get rid of the zombie cells, right? The really bad senescent cells. You get rid of those, you got to replace them. That's where the stem cell comes out. And stem cells are extremely stress resilient, Okay. So, it's like you and I are basketball fans. So in the NBA, there's big turnover every year. Most of the 30-year-olds are out.
Yeah.
And then you got 18, 19-year-olds in there, right? These guys, they don't have as much experience, but they're very stress resilient. You know what I mean?
That's
so they're
the
younger.
stem cells.
You got it.
Getting rid of the, unless you're LeBron James and you stay around for a long time.
Exactly. That's right. And so, and kudos to him as well.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but with that said, I mean, it's amazing what happens. And when we think about your intestinal cells, that's your first line of defense. Like our skin is a first line of defense, but we have many layers of skin cells. In our small intestine, it's only one cell. And so it's one cell held in by these tight junctions.
Crazy.
When those intestinal cells aren't functioning well, okay, we end up with something called leaky gut or intestinal permeability. And so in order to heal a damaged gut, right? And that's so critical because when we have intestinal permeability, we've got large proteins, undigested food, we've got bacteria, bacterial
poop in the bloodstream, essentially.
Absolutely, right? All these endotoxins driving up inflammation. And so it causes a systemic inflammatory response in our body, which ends up leading to autoimmunity, ends up leading to metabolic disease, all of these things. And so we need to be replacing those. We need a consistent supply of these stem cells because eating is like, in a sense, almost like warfare in there, right? It is a significant mechanical and chemical stress on the gut lining. Now, of course, we need to eat to survive. It's a beautiful thing when we're able to eat and digest food well.
Social aspect to it, yep.
Absolutely, but it's a lot of wear and tear on that intestinal lining. So we need a continual supply of autophagy on the intestinal lining, mitophagy, where we're breaking down these old damaged mitochondria, and stem cell development. So that way we have this really stress resilient gut lining. When we develop that and develop habits and patterns to continuate that, now we're going to end up significantly reducing inflammation in our body and allowing ourselves to digest food more effectively as well. Get maximal nutrient value from the food that we're consuming. So real powerful.
Such a powerful tool. Okay, so we're about 48 hours in right now. Two days in. I know there's some dopamine resets happening at the 48-hour mark. Could you talk about that?
Absolutely. Well, we talked about dopamine, how critical that is, right? And so, and this is actually one of your strongest cravings when you are fasting is a dopamine hit.
Yeah.
Like honestly, as you get metabolically healthy, it's really not hunger as much as it is
dopamine.
Like I just want something to give me an emotional hit. And so you start really resetting these dopamine receptors as you go 2 days, without consuming any food, anything with sweets, like even putting stevia in your water, right? I used to recommend that. I would say, okay, well, if you're having trouble with fasting, maybe a little stevia drops in water. Now I'm like, no, don't do that because
you get a dopamine hit.
You get the dopamine hit. You're going to lose out in the benefits. Listen, if that gets you through a 3-day fast,
then go for it.
You're going to get so much benefit that it's worth it. But if you want that really good dopamine reset, come off the stevia as well, right? And that will really help.
And coffee and caffeine.
And exactly, which is hard for a lot of people.
Yeah, and even for me when I do these long fasts, like sometimes I'll do the 72-hour fast, but I'll still have the coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you want to get the most benefits, it's just water and electrolytes.
100%.
Unflavored electrolytes,
Yep.
Minerals, minerals, minerals. You hear a lot of people out there speaking about the benefits of taking minerals. And it is important because in this day and age, our crops, our fruits, and our vegetables, they are depleted of minerals. So you've heard of the keto flu. You've heard of symptoms doing keto and fasting. People just don't feel good sometimes. This is the number one reason why. So my go-to for replenishing my electrolytes and my minerals, for enhancing my immune system, for gut support, for detoxification, is Bean Minerals. It has fulvic and humic compounds, and these have over 70 trace minerals and really important electrolytes to replenish your body with. Check out Bean Minerals over at beanminerals.com. Use the coupon code Azadi, my last name, at checkout to get a nice discount. That is AZADI at checkout over at beanminerals.com.
So for me, what I do is every year it seems like I get sick. I get like a stomach virus, and I'm like, okay, 5-day fast. Right?
You do that every time you get sick?
Yep. This year it was a week before the election, I remember. Because of the timing.
I think a lot of people got sick.
There was a lot of people. There was a lot going on that time of year. And so, it was like, I threw up and I'm like, okay.
Time to fast.
It's fat. My body's telling me.
Animals know that, right? When they get sick, they don't eat.
Absolutely. You got it. And I want to make sure I get full recovery.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so that's typically like a trigger for me. Whereas, my wife will actually plan it out. She'll be like, okay, I'm doing it right here. She's a little more on top of it, I think, from that perspective than I am. But I work out more often. So I'm working out like 6 days a week, and I just love working out. So I'll do a 24-hour fast once a week, right? And that's what I'm usually doing, okay, unless, again, I get sick. So we're ramping up our fasting at 48 hours, and then again, you have this decision to make. Do I keep going? Okay. And as we go into that 72 hours, we're getting a full immune system reset. This is the amazing thing that takes place here. So now we're getting rid of all these senescent, old, damaged immune cells and basically creating new stress-resilient immune cells. So if you're out there, if you've got chronic inflammation, autoimmunity, you want to really bring down antibodies.
One of the best things you can do.
Oh man.
Especially if you have Hashimoto's or any autoimmune condition.
You got it. Yeah, so you get this full immune system reset.
72 hours in. That's Dr. Walter Longo has shown a lot of that research,
exactly,
right?
Yep. And what I love about Walter Longo and L Nutra and Prolon, the research they're doing is they're actually, they've got a product to buy, which is actually a really good product. It's the 5-day Fasting-Mimicking diet product. And they put money into research. Nobody else is really... There's not much funding, again, for fasting research.
Yeah, they're not inspired.
So they're doing fasting research, but you're actually eating.
Yeah.
Okay? And so we can, basically based on the results they're getting, my hypothesis, and you probably agree with this, is you're getting actually better results when you're doing a water fast.
Oh, yeah. So I've done both.
Yeah,
I've done
exactly.
For me, and for you, it's a step backward.
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
you're going to get more results, more healing.
Yep.
You're not pushing the innate intelligence any direction. You're letting it do its thing when it's just water.
Right.
Versus food. Although they design it in a way where you don't, activate mTOR and you're still getting autophagy.
Yep.
It's a great option for somebody new to fasting. Somebody who's following a standard American diet, like do this first, but pure water fasting, nothing beats that.
Yeah, or if somebody's like taking medications.
Or even taking medication.
A lot of people have questions. Hey, how do I take these medications?
Good point. Yeah, but
great place to start.
But a water fast, nothing beats that, bro.
Yeah, exactly. But like you and I said, hey, don't jump right into a 3-day fast.
Yeah.
Right?
Do Prolon maybe.
Do the Prolon, 5-day Fasting-Mimicking diet.
Yeah.
One of the great things about that diet is they did research on it. They showed that there was like a 95% compliance rate.
Yeah, that's...
Water fasting
compare that to water fasting. Maybe our community, we might have a high compliant rate, not that high, but for the general public, it's probably like 30% maybe.
Exactly. So that's where the benefit is. If you are coming in very insulin resistant, you're on medications, that is a great approach. 5-day Fasting-Mimicking diet. Start getting your body healthy. Read Ben's book, Metabolic Freedom.
Your books too. Fasting Transformation.
Absolutely. Yep.
Your Metabolic Keto Breakthrough books. Yeah. So I think they probably all have his books. If they don't, go get Dr. Jockers' books as well.
What are you waiting for?
Get his book, add mine to the cart, just get it all together. Just like a masterclass in the metabolism. So that's 3 days. So, if you're done eating Sunday at 6 p.m., you would break the fast Wednesday at 6 p.m. That is a 72-hour fast to get all those benefits we just shared here. Not to mention this benefit. The discipline it takes to do that will transfer to other areas of life.
Absolutely.
And you'll start to develop other disciplines in your life.
Yeah, no doubt about it. If you can do that, you can break any addiction, any addictive cycle. I mean, you're going to be more, like you said, more disciplined. If you're looking to want to wake up earlier, I guess you could say, or go to bed earlier, right? Break an addiction to entertainment. If you can do a 3-day fast, it's going to give you the confidence and the machinery, in a sense, right? The machinery in your brain, the synaptogenesis. We talked about that.
Yeah.
The neuroplasticity in your brain to break free from an addiction to your phone, an addiction to watching shows. Yeah, exactly. All of that kind of stuff.
Watching the news and being pissed off at what's happening in the world.
Yeah,
get off the news.
And then wondering why it's 11 o'clock and you haven't gone to bed yet.
Exactly. All right, so there's going to be some... I'm always thinking about the person watching and listening who's now inspired to do it, but they have some questions. So I'm going to ask the questions I think the audience might have after we just explained this. So you've kind of answered a few of these, but I'll ask them again just to confirm for them to understand. Which liquids can you have during the 72 hours?
Well, ultimately, I mean, you can have whatever you want, right? No, I mean, nobody's sitting there watching you.
Let me rephrase that. To get the most benefits. Which liquids do you suggest we have?
So water, herbal tea, okay? In some cases, black coffee, but if you want that full dopamine reset, come off the coffee as well, and a caffeine reset.
And test your glucose too, see if coffee raises it.
True. Yeah, true.
Sometimes it does.
Apple cider vinegar It's not going to have an impact on your fast.
It could support it, actually.
Absolutely,
Yep.
right? Even doing some lemon water, right? You could do that.
Yep,
You could
that's
do
fine.
electrolytes, not non-flavored electrolytes can be helpful. If you do like a flavored, like I like the Element electrolytes, like if you do the electrolytes with flavoring, just try to notice, does this increase cravings? Does it make fasting easier or harder? If it makes it easier, like if you feel more mentally clear, right? And it just actually takes away hunger and you feel better, I think you're actually getting a lot of benefit from it, right? If it's not, if it's causing more cravings, different people have different responses to stevia. If it's causing more cravings, more irritability, things like that, then drop it, right?
Yeah.
You got to get rid of that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you can also just take salt and put it on your tongue.
Yeah, and then
right?
just drink water. Yeah.
And you'll get the salt because most of the electrolytes, the benefit is coming from the salt.
That is true.
Yep.
That is true. What about supplements? Any supplements during fast?
Yeah. So as far as supplements go, a lot of people will just say nothing at all. I like taking a binder.
Smart for a long fast.
Yep.
'Cause
I
you're
like
just
taking a
dumping
binder.
toxins.
So that's going to be like fulvic, humic acids, charcoal,
Yep.
zeolite. I mean, it could be any combination. You find what you find works best for you. And that's going to help your body bind exotoxins that are being released, like microplastics that are being released from the fat cells, heavy metals.
Yeah.
Some of those binders can be beneficial for grabbing up heavy metals. Let's see. I mean, you got all kinds of different, you got phthalates, all these things that are being released.
And the
these forever
autophagy is
chemicals.
also doing this and releasing
Absolutely, yep.
toxins as well.
Definitely. And, for example, if you've had a lot of gut issues, the gut bacteria are going to die off too and release endotoxins. And so
Bind
for
those up
some
as well.
people, they'll bind those. The best binder for endotoxins is immunoglobulins. And so if you're somebody that's had a lot of gut issues, try immunoglobulins. I know there's Mega IgG. That's the one that, that I've used a lot.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And that I have a history of irritable bowel. And if I get real stressed or encounter, some foodborne pathogen or something like that, I get a flare up on it. Yeah. Nothing has helped me quite like immunoglobulins, right? Like it knocks it out right away, right? And so I found that to be really helpful. It binds the LPS is one of the big things that it does, pulls that right out. So that can be really helpful. If you really want to heal, if you've had autoimmunity and you want to heal the gut lining, actually taking something like a butyric acid, actually, a lipid encased butyric acid can be very helpful here.
Yeah.
Try Butyrin X actually, because it can fuel the intestinal cells, but at the same time stimulate mitophagy in the intestinal, in the senescent mitochondria in there, right? And so that can be really beneficial as well. So I think there's caveats to it. People, for example, that have had maybe gallstones, taking something like Tudka can be really helpful. And a lot of people have concerns when they've had a history of like gallbladder issues when they're fasting, because a lot of times when they're fasting, especially if you're not hydrating well, the gallbladder environment gets real dry, right? And so it gets real vicious, real thick, and that can create more calcifications there. And then when you eat, all of a sudden it tries to shoot it out, and these stones get lodged in the gallbladder. Couple big things you want to do: make sure you're hydrating well. Okay, that's number one. Making sure you're hydrating throughout the day, taking some sort of electrolytes or salt, right, can be really helpful. Lemon water can be really, really helpful. Warm lemon water. A lot of herbal teas.
Apple cider vinegar too.
Apple cider vinegar, absolutely. A lot of herbal teas, can be really helpful. And also apple cider vinegar. I talked about the butyric acid.
Acetic acid.
The
in there.
acetic acid has the same effect on those intestinal cells.
Traditional supplements like capsules, tablets, powders, and gummies, and even nutrients from food typically don't even get into your cells and get you the job that you're looking for. Some people call this expensive urine, where you spend all this money on supplements and you end up literally flushing it down the toilet. So how do you know if the supplements you're taking are actually getting into your cells and giving you the job that you're looking for? Well, there's an amazing technology called liposomes. Liposomes are microscopic spheres that actually bypass digestion and deliver right into your cells. It's one of the best delivery systems for nutrients outside of getting an actual IV. And the cool thing about these liposomes is you could take them with you when you travel, take them at your home like I'm doing right now. I use a company called Live On Labs. They have incredible liposome products, and I have two right here. They're lipospheric B complex and they're lipospheric vitamin C. And here's how you take it. It's very simple. I'm putting it in into about 5 ounces, maybe 4 ounces of water. I'm also grabbing their vitamin C. I'm doubling it up and putting that into this water as well. And you just want to mix it gently because you don't want to damage the liposome and the nutrients. You just want to mix it like that, and then you just drink it. And you could actually get an entire carton of their B complex for free if you go to liveonlabs.com. That is LIVON labs.com, or click the link in the notes down below. Add the B complex carton to your shopping cart. Add any of their other products as well, and apply the coupon code AZADI25. And then you just click submit, check out, and you'll get this shipped to your door. Check out Live On Labs, check out their amazing products, and I know you'll feel a difference just like I do.
I remember years ago, Ben, I remember 2010, I was a new doctor, right? And I would do all these kind of health screenings and stuff like that. And I would do shopping tours at grocery stores.
Yeah.
And I get everybody doing apple cider vinegar. And I can't tell you how many people were like, I started taking a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and water, and my blood pressure went down. Like my blood pressure stabilized. Wow. And all these people started telling me its benefits. And I'm like, I looked up like the nutritional consistency because I knew apple cider vinegar was good, but I'm like, I need to do a deep study on this. Like what actually is in that that's benefiting people? And there really isn't many nutrients. It's not really nutrients. Not like it's rich in vitamin A or polyphenols or anything like that, right? It's this acetic acid compound. The acid compound itself is a postbiotic compound, and that postbiotic gets into the mitochondria in the intestinal cells, right? Well, it'll actually get in the gut bacteria. It'll interact with the gut bacteria, and it will also trigger the vagus nerve, right? Which triggers a kind of a parasympathetic response. But the acetic acid itself will actually trigger mitophagy in the intestinal cells, right? So it'll break down the old damaged mitochondria and form new healthy mitochondria. So this guy that, I remember this man telling me, I take a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and water every day. I'm off all my blood pressure medications, right? And that was like the big thing he credited it to.
Yeah.
And that's what was happening in his system was these intestinal cells, getting stronger, healthier, and more stress resilient. So you can absolutely do that. Going back to gallbladder issues, a supplement that I found to be helpful is Tudka.
Yeah, I love Tudka.
Right? Yeah, because it really helps thin the bile.
Yeah, I take
right?
it just as liver support, bowel
Absolutely.
support. Yeah,
It's great liver support. Yep, great bile flow support. So that can be really helpful, and you can take that when you're fasting too to prepare you so you don't get again this sluggish bile. And what happens is I didn't mention this, but at 48 hours we stop producing digestive juices if we're fasting.
True.
So the body's still creating some stomach acid and bile when, we're 24 hours in, 36, but right around 48 hours, it says, okay, we're going to divert all this energy into healing and repair and stop producing these digestive juices. And so then when we break the fast after 72 hours, for example, we want to be easy on our system. And this is different for each person. I've heard people say, I ate a big steak after 72 hours. It felt great.
Yeah, that's not a good idea for most people, though.
Exactly. And that person might have just had a more stress-resilient gut in general. You know what I mean? But I don't think that was like the healthiest thing for them to do.
After a long fast.
Yeah. It's better to prime it, maybe 2 or 3 meals in, do that.
Correct.
But, it's better to come off with bone broth or a protein shake. Or
eggs, avocado.
Something that's kind of like pre-digested, maybe some fermented foods, things like that are going to help trigger the release of these digestive juices, kind of waking your digestive system up. It's kind of like if you woke up in the morning and all of a sudden like your trainer was there and he's like, get down 100 push-ups right now. You know what I mean? It's like, for a lot of people, it's a shock on their system. Yeah. They want time to wake up.
Yeah.
It's basically what you're doing to your body when you do that.
Yeah, that's good. Well, how many of you watching on YouTube are inspired to do a 72-hour fast? Comment down below and let me know. I have one more question for you before I ask you the question. Share with my audience about your books, your awesome podcast. You have a great YouTube channel and also your amazing website. It's been around for a very long time. With great articles. So Dr. David Jockers, share with them where they can find you.
Yeah, for sure. You can find me at drjockers.com. I got a great podcast where I do lots of kind of short trainings where I talk about all this kind of stuff. Had you on the podcast several times.
Yeah.
Dr. Jockers Functional Nutrition Podcast, also on YouTube as well. And I've got a couple great books. I've got the Keto Metabolic Breakthrough.
Great book.
Yeah, and in that book, I really talk about how to get your body into a state of ketosis, right? Not just kind of go on this kind of cold shock ketogenic diet, but how to do it properly, how to do it in a nutrient dense and gentle way on your body, and then how to, in a sense, keto flex like you do, like you talked
I'm
about.
looking for your book. I know it's somewhere back here.
Yeah.
It's somewhere behind you. But yeah, like keto flex, using it as a tool is what you're saying.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so I think I wrote my book before yours. And so that's a great term because I talked about cycling in and out, right?
It's exactly the same
and you came
thing.
up keto flex
Yeah.
was exactly, yep. And then the fasting transformation, which, I go on a deep dive into all the research on fasting. Book's several years old, but, it's still really pertinent. And I also talk about, different diseases and how it impacts, for example, cancer, neurodegenerative conditions, tons of great research on a lot of these things, a lot of these disease states. And then also on top of that, really how to gently get into a fasted state, right? And how to use it as a tool for your healing journey.
Yeah. You've been around for a long time. You're one of the first people I started studying back, 2015, 2016. You've been a huge inspiration to me and a mentor to me even before I knew you. And now you're a friend and a colleague, but you've got great information. Dr. Jockers' podcast is amazing. Your YouTube is also great. Your website's drjockers.com. Great articles on there. The graphics you have for your articles and your posts are next level. Your team does a really great job understanding stuff. So we'll put all that down below. But I asked the final question, same question I asked all my guests, and it's about vitamin G, gratitude, and all of the anti-inflammatory, amazing benefits that you get from gratitude. Definitely, that's a supplement you can take during a fast.
That's right.
And you should take during a fast. Actually, with the BDNF, it's easier to feel great gratitude and feel grateful. So, Dr. Jockers, you're here in Miami. You flew in for my book launch party, which is tonight. It'll be after this comes out. And it's great to finally meet you in person. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for your work, and I also want you to have this opportunity to take vitamin G and share what you're grateful for today.
Man, I'm number one, I'm grateful for how far God has taken me, right? Took me from, from a scared and timid young man into somebody he's using on a daily basis to impact and influence lives. I'm thankful for my beautiful wife, Angel, and my 4 wonderful kids, David and Joshua, Joyful and Shine. Yeah, my boys are great basketball players. Yep. My daughter, we just played her first season of soccer and did amazing. She loved it. She's very influenced by her older brothers. Right?
Yeah, I can imagine.
And then my youngest, Shine, she by the time this comes out, she'll be 4 years old.
Wow.
And she's a dancer. So she's got a dance recital actually coming up this weekend, this Saturday.
Awesome.
And so I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful for our friendship as well, Ben. And you invited me out here and getting to meet you in person and have a great conversation with you as well. So grateful.
Brother. If you enjoyed this lesson, you're going to love a recent interview I did with a scientist that studies skin health. And if you're looking to reduce fine lines and wrinkles, to get rid of the dark circles underneath your skin and essentially anti-age your skin without using toxic skincare products, we talk about peptides and the best things to do for your skin health. So go check out that interview. I'll show you a clip here. Click the video on the screen and I'll see you in that next interview.
Get the benefits of sun without burning your skin. So this will be very personal depending on the skin type that you have and where in the earth are you located, if you have more UV index. But a general rule for me is the sun cannot burn your skin. If it's burning,